Hi, this is Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow. Welcome to another edition of Cooking with Janet. I appreciate all of those of you who wrote in saying how much you miss me, so I made a little extra special treats for you today, and hopefully you'll like them, you'll utilize them, you'll incorporate them in your life, and it will make life fun for you and healthy. You want to remember always that your eyes are really where your digestion begins, and when you like what you see, everything works well, you feel better, and life is good because what you put in your body represents what you're putting in your mind. So with that said, I want to direct your attention over here. Now I'm going to do a rice wrap for you, and I'm going to use a satay sauce. I have made this peanut sauce before for you, practically the same way. I always vary a little bit, but I make mine with sun butter rather than with peanut butter because of all the mold that's in peanut butter, and of course a lot of that is where the allergies actually come from. So I'm just going to go through the sauce again, even though I've done this for you before, but we're going to use these on our wraps. So I'm going to put in roughly around a half a cup of sun butter, and I have here some organic coconut milk, and I'm going to use about a half a can of that. And you can adjust things to your taste, and that's why I kind of do a little of this and a little of that, because my cooking isn't really, you know, down to a science per se. It's like, okay, these are the general flavors I like, and so you can kind of mix and meld. And also because, again, if you're in a hurry, you may not always take the time to do all the blending that happens. It needs, you know, measuring, you pull out all your cups, it gets old to me. Instead of soy sauce, I use the raw coconut amino acids, which taste like soy sauce. I'm going to put a little bit of that in here, maybe about 2 tablespoons. I have the coconut crystals, and remember the Coconut Secret has the lowest glycemic index, about 7 carbs per tablespoon if you watch your carbs, which we do. And so again, it depends on how sweet that you want it. I'm going to put in approximately a quarter of a cup into here. I also am going to add a little lime juice. Now lime, this is organic. If you have fresh is always better. I'm going to put in about a tablespoon of that just to give it a little bit of flavoring depending on how much lime you like. And some red pepper flakes. These I get from Cindy, so I get them a huge bag. You can see I'm almost out by the amount that I use. You've seen me use them in many of my other recipes. And I'm going to put in about a teaspoon. If you're not a really spice-oriented person, you might want to use less than that. Or none at all, depending again on your taste. For Frontier, I buy a pound of granulated garlic at a time. You can use fresh chopped, and you can put that in. So I'm going to just put in roughly about a half a tablespoon. And a little salt. Remember, if you have a good quality sea salt, that it's very strong, so maybe about a couple pinches, 1/8 of a teaspoon, just to what you like, and a little bit of black pepper, probably around 1/4 of a teaspoon, maybe a little bit more. And that really is my satay sauce. So, again, adjust to your taste. We're just going to turn it on, cook it together a little bit. And this is going to be the sauce that we're going to use on the rice wraps. Now, you can use other sauces as well. This is kind of a fun one. You can also use this on chicken to bake. I like it chicken the best. Some people, if they want to eat it on pork. But it is a nice, smooth, creamy sauce. It's going to give it a bit of an Asian flair. Don't do a lot of Asian cooking because I really don't know a lot about that. It's one area I have not taken the time to explore and investigate a whole lot. So I've done a little bit, but a little here and there. All right, and this I'm going to heat up just enough to make it warm and to blend all the flavors in. So we'll let that sit for a minute. Now while that's going on, I want to show you my rice wraps that I have. And these are good for here in Michigan. The days are getting hot. Who knows if they'll stay that way or not. These are rice wraps, and these you can find, and I find them in my local grocery stores. They're paper thin. They run around 2 to 3 carbs a piece, and the only ingredient in here is water, salt, tapioca, and rice. So again, they're very thin, and they'll break. you have to be careful with them, and I've had to kind of explore and to find my way. But what I do is I take a bowl of some kind, and I've heated a little bit of water in advance, and we are going to just moisten these a little bit so that we can wrap it up without having everything break or fall apart. And that may happen. We'll find out. But if you do it too much, it's going to turn into a big rice noodle, which is basically what it is. And once you have it wet, and you may have to experiment a little bit. I haven't used these in a while, but I thought it was something fun that I'm going to be pulling out here soon for my family. So I thought, well, I'll go ahead and share with you. And we'll do a little experimenting together. Alright, that looks like that's good. So I'm going to lay this down. Now I have here some barbecue chicken that we did over Memorial Day weekend. I'm just going to put a piece on the middle. And I like colored. Now here in Michigan we don't have a lot of vegetables that are out yet. We're kind of in between seasons. We haven't really begun. But I would put on here, if I had it, some fresh cucumber, avocado. Sometimes I have a challenge getting good ones. I would put that on here. Zucchini. Again, use your imagination. This happens to be some roasted red pepper from a jar. I would put fresh on here if I had it available. But I do like to have a little bit of color. Green onions or scallions. I have organic onions, so I'm just putting a couple pieces of that on. Here's a nice romaine lettuce leaf that's organic. I think I'll stick that maybe underneath. Put that on there. I have a little organic carrot, but I don't have a lot of choices right now in what I have. So again, see what's available in your area. These are thin rice noodles. And these come in, this is the kind that I get. Maybe you have a better brand. And you just put it in a little hot water and let it sit. This whole pot only right in here only has about 20 carbs. So if we put just a few noodles on there, it makes it kind of fun. And you can do it with any kind of meat. You can do it straight veggies. Let's see how this is looking. You can do it straight veggies, or you can do it with different kinds of meat or seafood. And we're just going to kind of run a little bit over the top. Or you can pre-marinate your chicken in it, or whatever you like. Put that here. You can also put a little chicken broth in it if you want. And you can see how thin it is. And we're just going to wrap that up and roll it over. And voila. Now this makes a nice little hors d'oeuvre appetizer. And as you do it and you put it on a plate, what you're going to want to do is take a paper towel, wet it briefly, just gently, and then lay it over, because otherwise this is going to get hard and crunchy like what you saw in the beginning. And when you get ready to serve it, what I like to do is you cut it open, because again I like to look at the colors and a little bit of the slant. You see, it looks very nice. If you have sprouts that you like, cooked sweet potato is nice in there. Again, use your imagination. Look in your refrigerator. What do you already have? You don't necessarily have to go out and buy a bunch of stuff. But it's just a nice treat for the summer when you really don't feel like a lot, but you want a little something, or if you have company coming over, or again, a summer party. It's just nice. Just be sure you cover it with a damp paper towel so that these don't get hard again. But they're pretty easy to do, as you can see. I just demonstrated for you. The other thing I want to tell you that you can do, if you have seen the bamboo skewers, or if you have metal ones, and you like to do the sautés, what you can do, and I've talked to you about this before, is if you have your chicken breasts and you freeze them slightly, and when they're still slightly frozen, you can slice them very neatly. When it's still raw, what you do is you take your wooden skewer, of course first, I prefer if you can soak them for a few hours or even overnight so they won't burn if you put them on the barbecue. You just you weave them in and out, you dip them in your sauce over here, and then you let them sit overnight raw while the sauce marinates in, and then you can barbecue or grill or bake them in your oven even. I've done that as well. So you can do that also with turkey breast. You can do it with any kind of steak. Again, you want to just freeze it a little bit and slice it. And it makes something kind of fun for an appetizer or meal, depending upon who you're feeding. So that is an easy rice wrap for you. So with that said, we're going to move on to my next item of interest. Okay, so the next thing I want to show you how to do is some simple oatmeal cookies. I'm going to use my handy dandy spice mill here that I've talked to you about before, and because I don't eat wheat, I'm going to create some oat flour. Now, oats only have about whole oats, organic, only have about 56 carbs per cup. I have 2 cups in here. I'm going to turn it into flour and mix it up with my other ingredients in this bowl. So go ahead and run that through. The oats go really fast, and you can also do this with, these are rolled oats. You can do it with any kind of organic oats. You know, if you have the whole ones, you can do that. It doesn't really matter. I also have in here already 2 cups of the rolled oats, which I'm going to use besides my 2 cups of oat flour. And you can use any kind of grain that you want. Pretty fast. It's going to be close enough for me. It's about, again, 2 cups of your rolled oats in there, and I've got about 2 cups of oat flour. In my bowl, I have already put 3/4 of a cup of, this is goat butter on the bottom, and you can use any kind of shortening that you like. You can even use olive oil if you want, if you don't want to use the dairy. You can use the cow butter. And I like to leave it out to soften, and again, it probably would have been nice if I would have had this about an hour longer, make it really soft, so it's a little bit chunky, but it'll work. And into 3/4 cups of butter, I have a 1/2 cup of my coconut crystals. Now this is not real sweet, and these cookies are not going to be real sweet, so if you have a sweet tooth, you can even double that amount of sugar, or you can add maple syrup, which I have done. And I have done honey, and the only thing is if you use either maple syrup or honey, remember that your recipe will brown faster, and so you want to keep your eye on things so it doesn't brown quite so fast. So you're going to mix your sugar in a little bit, and as I said, again, these are not going to be really sweet. The other thing that you can do with oatmeal cookies is you can mix in some dried fruit, which will make it sweeter. Dried cherries have one of the lowest carbohydrate counts, and put some of those in if you have those. Raisins are higher, they're full of iron, and they will make your cookies a little sweeter, but again, just depends on what is important for you in your particular diet that you're looking for. I'm going to put in about 1 teaspoon of aluminum-free baking soda. Mix that into the batch. And I also have, let's see if I can say it properly, xanthan gum, which I've showed you before, which helps the flours a little bit more delicate and not weak to hold together. I'm going to put in here about a 1/2 teaspoon. Okay, just enough to kind of hold things together a little bit. But if you don't have that, don't let that stop you from making the recipe, because it will be good enough. Just a little bit easier, but not essential. And I have 2 organic eggs that I'm going to be putting in there to the mix. And if you have a hand mixer or a stand mixer, of course you can do that. For me, sometimes by the time I get them out and wash them, I would rather do this. And I also want to show you not to limit yourself on what you do because of what you do or don't have, that there are a lot of different ways to do things. And you can buy pre-ground flour, of course, too, if you don't have a spice mill. But mine, as you see, is very handy. I use it all the time. It's not too expensive, and it's something that's a staple in my kitchen. Okay, then I also have here 3 to 4 tablespoons. I thought I had my box, but I must have put it away. So let me grab my box for you. I want you to see what it is. Of the coconut milk, unsweetened, so delicious, which comes in the box. You can store it in your cupboard, but once it's opened, it should be refrigerated. But again, you can use any liquid. You can use almond milk in there. Of course, I don't recommend soy, but you can use almond milk. You can use regular milk. You can use water. You know, whatever it is that you like for a liquid when you bake. So that also goes in my mix. And that's really the base other than my flour, which is going to go in next. So here we go with that. My flour and my rolled oats. You can also add unsweetened coconut in here, or sweetened, but usually the unsweetened, you know what you're looking at as far as sugar. But you can put that in here, which is very good. You can add nuts if you like that, along with your dried fruit. And what I put in, because that's what my family likes, after I get this mixed up, is I've already cut up a 85% organic chocolate bar. This is actually half of one. A whole one runs around 3.5 ounces these days that we get here in the States, and I put in about a half of one for this recipe, which to me is plenty. You can put cinnamon in here if you go with your dried fruit. Again, use your imagination. Look in your cupboard, see what's there, things that you have all the time. You don't want to go out and buy a bunch of stuff and then never use it again. And as you can tell, I try to use kind of the same general ingredients, except I mix them up in different ways, and I buy a little here and a little there to supplement. But it's a very easy recipe to do. It's nutritious. You can have these, cut 2 or 3 cookies as you're running out the door. You can have these for breakfast if you want, or for a good mid-morning snack or bedtime snack with a cup of tea. Okay, and here we have just the chocolate, and it's going to go in next. And you can see that even though it's half of one of those bars, it mixes in pretty nicely, so it's pretty well spread throughout. Okay, and you're going to take your baking sheet. I have a smaller one. Oven is 375, and you need to bake them for approximately 10 minutes, depending on your oven. Look at the bottom. If the bottom of your cookie sheet of your cookie is brown, then you can pretty well figure your cookie's done. But and these, I figure, have, depending upon how big you make your cookies, it has roughly around 7 carbs a piece. I make mine about the size of a tablespoon. They're not, this particular recipe is not going to spread out and go flat. You can put more liquid in, you can experiment for yourself. That's why I tell you none of these recipes are set in stone, they're experimental. I experiment, you experiment. Let's see what we come up with. And as I said, about 10 minutes in the oven, and you have a nice treat. Now the other thing you can do is you can make them you can make them in advance, or take the dough and make balls of dough in advance and put those balls of dough in your freezer. Okay, so you'll make them in advance, you'll put the balls of dough in your freezer, and then when you want to use them, what I do is I take them out and I let them unthaw. And some people bake them frozen. I haven't done that, so I can't tell you how that's going to work out. But if you will put them out to unthaw, you can unthaw them in the refrigerator. Say if you're working during the day, in the morning, pull them out, stick them in your refrigerator, and then the night when you come home, you can bake them in your oven or leave them out to finish unthawing while you make your dinner. So it's pretty easy to do, and as I said, they're very healthful, they're nutritious, they're good for you, they're low carb, they're easy to do, and they're fun. So take some time to have some fun in your life. I hope a lot of you out there who are watching, I hope you will be joining me here in August for my immersion week along with Stewart on hyperspace oversoul techniques, fire, earth, air, and water. We're going to be talking about nature elements, how that applies to you, how you can see yourself in nature. It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm excited about that. I don't know, it's just something magical about St. Joseph. That's the new word, magical. I might as well use it too. It is very magical here in St. Joseph. And the people who come are magical. What can I say? No, you're wonderful. All of you are wonderful, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in, for supporting expansions.com with the comments that you send in, with your memberships, with your purchases, with your everything that you do out there to help us with spreading the word and sharing with your friends. The best give back that you can give to us is to actually utilize the information. And when you utilize the information and it works for you, share with your friends, leave a comment on our site, because that helps other people who are saying, oh, this is interesting, but remember, there's so much out there to sift through nowadays. Help them find out the genuine information from the distractions, from the information that really won't take them anywhere but in circles. And those of you who use on a regular basis hyperspace oversoul techniques, you know these methods work. They've worked for you. Help us show other people what these methods can do for them. Go to expansions.com, leave a comment on our product and services, leave a comment on our articles, whatever works for you. We are just happy to have your participation because you are what helps expansions.com continue to expand and grow and get bigger and better so that we can continue to support and serve you. Thank you so much. I will see you again. Janet Diane Mourglia-Swerdlow for expansions.com.
It's like I'm in Bangkok.
It's amazing, right?
Oh, incredible.
And what about this? You like the sauce?
The sauce is absolutely amazing. Absolutely amazing.
And you think it tastes just like peanut sauce?
It tastes better than peanut sauce.
Really?
Peanut sauce would cry if it saw this. Wonderful.